Repetition is the mother of learning.
Is that a quote that?
No, I did not come up with that.
Hello and welcome to Daily Life at Mintleaf. We have a guest today, Maya Shimoda.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks for being here.
No problem.
So you've worked for Zen for a long time.
Yes.
And I remember meeting you before there was ever a Mintleaf school.
Yes. Well, Mintleaf was in the works.
Right. And so now we have a 3-story school. And we have 2 preschool classrooms and a toddler classroom. Your main job, can you tell us a little bit about your main job?
Sure. So my main job at Zen is usually in the hospitality side with the hostels that we have in Yamanouchi and Togakushi. Just running the businesses there. Everything from cleaning and cooking and managing the online travel agencies. And I also teach English out there as well. But now, because of the coronavirus, I am here helping out with the toddlers mainly.
Great. So you have Mintleaf language school within the hostel.
Exactly, yeah. I like to think of it as like the root of Mintleaf because it's really the first Mintleaf school, I guess, in a sense.
Right,
Yeah.
and you have a background in early childhood education before you started teaching that. You told me a little bit like you grew up in a Waldorf system.
Yeah.
Or I think one big difference is when I think of Waldorf, I think of some very specific activities like you've talked about shaded drawing.
Shading,
about
crocheting and knitting from a very young age, like 5 or
Right.
6.
Yeah, and a little bit about myself. I also spent some time in a Waldorf school and some time in Montessori school, so I have some memories of these type of activities too. And at first I wanted to talk a little bit about the differences between toddlers and preschoolers. What do you think are some of the differences that you observe in working with toddlers versus preschoolers?
There is quite an age range, even within the toddler class that we do have. But a lot of the main things that I notice is just their levels of communication. The children who err on the side of 3 or almost 3, they're much better at communicating their needs when they want you to help them with something, when they don't want to do something.
It can be a challenge where in our approach we want to have the children be independent and we want them to do things for themselves. And it's very easy for teachers to do a lot of things for toddlers. And so, and toddlers do need more support than older children with more developed fine motor and gross motor muscles. Their hands are still developing. Their bodies are still developing. So all of those small and large muscles are still very much developing. Things such as putting a shirt or socks on. Not every child that's 2 years old can do that, and that's a matter of development, and not everybody develops at the same age in the earliest years. As far as the language goes, in that toddler time, you will most likely see the children experience the language explosion when they finally are able to use words. So up until a certain age, the children have trouble communicating, and the teachers have to kind of really observe and learn the signals of the children. Some common behaviors in toddlers, you might see hitting, biting, scratching. As we know, all behavior is a means of communicating. So once they're able to communicate with words, we find that a lot of those behaviors naturally resolve themselves. Luckily, there's not many of those behaviors in this current group.
Yeah. Yes.
Another big difference is toddlers are more attached to adults. So there's some needs for physical contact or physical affection. Toddlers may ask for hugs more often than the older children.
During nap time as well is a big time for, we all use almost all available limbs to
Pat the back.
Doing the patting, the tonton, big thing. Whereas I have helped upstairs with the older kids in the preschool. putting them down for their naps, it's very like, I don't need you, I can go to sleep by
You wanna
myself.
maybe give them more space.
Yeah.
So occasionally as an administrator, I may recommend teachers pick up the child who's crying or initiate some sorts of physical contact as a way of supporting them developmentally. The older children, of course, sometimes they ask for hugs or high fives or sitting on a lap to read a book. As children get older, that becomes less of a need.
Yes, I definitely agree with that.
A big thing with toddler rooms is there's a lot of crying. There are a lot of emotions. This school year, at the start of the year, the children were crying so much. And some, they're separating from their parents for the first time. There's some very real separation anxiety. Some of them have never been to a school. They don't know why their parents just left them. Recently, just yesterday, we had a boy return after a month or so away from school. And what I did there was I sat down next to him and I sat him on my lap and opened a book and started reading to him. It was a picture dictionary, so rather than reading, I was talking about the pictures in the book, right? Before we knew it, he was pointing at things in the book and talking about them very happily. And then eventually he got off of my lap and he ended up playing independently. It's one of many things you can do to comfort a young toddler. Singing songs is also another way to comfort children.
I've noticed that during nap time too, there are several kids that do fall asleep by themselves, but they actually kind of they're singing to themselves sometimes. That I've noticed, like, or just not even singing, just kind of humming. And I think that's kind of their own way of like self-comfort.
Many people who've worked in preschools for a long time probably have heard this thing where a young child will be playing and they'll just turn their whole play into a song and start singing the sequence of the play. So music is very important, melody is important, predictable, easy to understand melodies are important. It's important to know a lot of songs and to be able to use children's songs and to sing the same songs over and over. Toddlers also learn from repetition. They'll ask you to read the same book right when you're finished, and you can maybe do that 2, 3, 4 times, and that is one way they learn.
Repetition is the mother of learning.
Is that a quote that you just came up with?
Quote. No, I did not come up with that. My mother used to say that to me.
So routine, predictability, repetition, these things help comfort a child, right? On one hand, we want some predictability, but we also want to introduce the toddlers to many open-ended materials as a way to promote imaginative play and imaginary play. Imaginative play would be like where they're playing with dolls. Imaginary play is when they're pretending to be a princess, right? We've been playing a lot with wooden beads in the toddler room.
At first, it was really just the kids putting the beads on the ropes and then taking them off, maybe knocking them on the table because it makes a nice sound. But the more we played with those materials, they would put them on the rope, and if you shake it, it makes like it's an instrument.
In the last 2 days alone, I've noticed children spinning the beads, rolling the beads. We did a pattern and counting activity. They've pretended that they're food, put them on their fingers and pretended that they were nail polish. The children are introduced with materials and the teachers take a back seat, and then they observe the children using those materials with the expectation that the children will come up with uses that the adult would not predict, and then the teacher uses observations of that to learn more about the children.
Hey guys, my name is Dylan. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to see the full exclusive versions of all of our videos, check the link in the description and sign up for full access to our Mintleaf method. It's an amazing way to connect with our Mintleaf community and learn a lot about both teaching and parenting techniques as well. Hit the like and subscribe button for us if you would. It really helps us out. Can't wait to see you guys in the next video. Peace.